It's July and it's hot. Summer is here. You know what else is hot is these hot takes on the mortgage market. It's more real estate market today, to be quite honest. But let's hop into it. I gotta be honest, I forgot to do the rates. I just noticed that as I just quickly clicked through that, so that's my fault. Rates are mid sixes, kind of just more meh. Nothing big, nothing terrible, just more of the same. Hopping into things though, Americans are moving. Apparently, close to 20%, one in five people are going outside their metro area. I thought about that and I'm like, well, that actually seems low to me. I don't know. If you're somebody's moving, I feel like, moving outside of the metro, area, maybe, I don't know, but one in five, there you go. And apparently that's the highest relocation since 2021. Florida gets the number one state for where people are going to 46, almost 47,000 people. I don't recall, and I apologize, whether that's like the time period of that, but it's a lot of people regardless. Texas, number six, 10,000 is the net inflow. California, I do know is the net outflow. It's been that way for a long time. I'm surprised anybody's still left in California. But obviously, you know, Orlando is number one, so that makes Florida number one. Good for them. Texas being six, I'll take it. I got to be honest, I thought we were up there like close to number two or three, but we'll take it. So it is what it is. But again, glad to be in Texas and not California. For the days pending, the bubbles on the right side, blue means just based on how many days it takes. So a very very small little blue dot means that homes are selling really, really, really quick. And the Northeast, man, they've been locked up for a long time. There's a real inventory issue. There's just a shortage of homes being listed up in the Northeast, and you can see that based on all that blue that's up there. And to no surprise, look at Florida and Texas, right? A lot of building, a lot of growth, a lot of places to buy. The big yellow dots, we don't love those. That's the median days to pending, right? So in other words, the bigger and darker the yellow, the longer it takes. You can see the very tip, the Miami area of Florida is going to looks like the biggest, darkest yellow I see. North Texas, not bad. We'll take it. We're like a gray, right there in the middle. So we'll take it. We're not hot. We're not cold. Is what it is. But at least we're not in Houston or Central Texas because those dots are bigger and more yellow. So good for us. As far as finding the balance, I know we talked last week about just different, inventory being up. And last week, if I remember correctly, I want to say that listings were up like 2%, but the pending sales were up like 3 or 4%, meaning, yes, there's more coming online, but our actual sales are higher than what's coming online. So that's good. So in this instance, again, who knows, right? Truth in numbers and all stats are, all statisticians are liar. But here we go. Inventory climbed now apparently 4.3%. So this is close, but not quite what it said last week. Last week was about half that, said 2%. The median price reached 395. Again, I've seen numbers that are closer to 403, but we're kind of splitting hairs at that point. But still, that's a 10% difference. Annual growth pace actually slowed a little bit. But the part I want to point out, I don't see Texas in terms of, if you look on the far right, the annual change in the active listings. Good news, I don't see Texas. And I say that because Columbus has 27%. I mean, that's a ton in the percentage of the change in active listings. That is crazy to me. There's so much more. And the top part, if you're just a real nerd and you want more, a whole lot of stats as far as 3 years ago and the growth and this, that, and the other, I put that in there in case you just want to use that for your own marketing. So there you go. But Texas at least made the map with Houston, 10, we'll call it 10% annual change in active listings. So this is the change in the sales price for the United States. Check it out. Texas is gray. I will take that. So the reason why is you can say, well, man, I want my house to appreciate and I want value. That's true, but we also like affordability. So I'm good with the less than 1% category for the change in sales price in the United States. So Pacific Northwesterns, my friends up there in Seattle, my boy Omid, like good for you guys. You're also gray. So the gray states, in my opinion, good place to be. You can see the states where the change in sales price is over 4% or is really dark. And again, it goes back to that Northeast that we talked about a few slides ago, how it's just inventory shortage. And now it's starting to finally open up and prices are going up because, again, they just haven't had a lot of things on the market. So there you go. I think this is the last slide that has these kind of stats. Sellers, these are homes that are now selling below asking price. So the sales price to list ratio versus sales price to listing ratio last or latest, I should say. So in other words, when it gets listed initially, it's the blue line, and then the average sales to list price ratio is the latest. After it gets done, is the red line or the orange line. Good grief. So all this to say, you can see that essentially it's 1 to 1, right? So if I list it for 400 and I sell it for 400, that's a 1 to 1 ratio. So now what you're seeing is the orange line, the most latest piece, is if I list it for 400 and I'm going to sell it for basically 99%. That's that 0.99. 0.99, I'm going to sell it for almost what I'm asking for it. So it's getting better, I guess, right? Is what they're saying. So good, I guess. It keeps the demand there, but who knows? I don't know where, good for realtor.com. I don't know where the state is coming from, where they get it, but it's again, I'm just sharing slides. You guys can use them for your own marketing. Motivated sellers adjust price early. We've always known that. Look at that. The orange, the red, the red and the orange. You can see that most of the time they'll kind of adjust those prices pretty quick within the first, call it 9 to 11 days. And it makes sense, right? Is the first price reduction typically occurs when somebody puts it on the market and then all of a sudden, it sits there for a weekend or 2 weekend. The realtor is going to say, see, I told you so, it's too much. And they make those price adjustments. So it makes sense that the majority of those, the volume at least, takes place in the early first week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. And then you can see the percentages of the listings that actually get adjusted. So again, ultimately you're going to have some percentage that just levels out, and it looks like that's between 2 and 3%. But again, just more fun with this. Realtor.com crushed it this week for all of our stats. Product of the week, HomeFundIt. We got folks that were getting married and they're going to ask for money for their registry instead of China. I think that's brilliant. So we do have a program to where you can gift folks. You can do like a GoFundMe. Think of it that way. And that's what the HomeFundIt is. So we'd love to help anybody that needs or wants help, raising money. It's an account they can set up and they can use that money for their down payment. We don't have to source it. Pretty cool. And then the meme of the week, just found out how much mortgage brokers do. Look at that. What a handsome little fella in his little vest. Good for him. And then I thought, look, short and sweet. Mortgage Mark is awesome. That was our client testimony. So I thought I'd share that. And you know what to do. Forward, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And remember, as always, when you think mortgage, think Mark.